Right, I'm back. I did this video yesterday without sound because Sony have made it so easy to record these whole things with no sound. Even if your mic's unmuted, it still doesn't record with sound, which is just ridiculous. But anyway, I'm back, and today I am going to show you what I think is the best way to make money quickly in Gran Turismo. Some of you will have already seen the principles of this, but stick around because I guarantee you won't have seen the correct way of doing this. This is really the optimal way to earn money quickly. This is a couple of minutes faster than most of the ways that you'll have seen other people uploading and talking about. Okay? And the reason why this is quicker is because look up at the top there at the horsepower of my car. 2,349 horsepower for the SRT Tomahawk X. I've seen plenty of versions of this bug where you're running sort of half of that power. I'm running almost at full power. I'm a few hundred horsepower off the horsepower of this car, but there are ways of this car without adding tons of weight or reducing the power. And stick around, I'm now going to show you how I did it. So thanks to some of the guys at GT Planet for coming up with the basis of this tune. I've taken the tune and done a few things to it. I'm going to put you through them now. So for those who are completely unaware of how this works, we are actually, I'll just take a step back, we are at the World Touring Car 600 race at Tokyo Expressway. It's an event that gives you 550,000 credits for first place, and when you get a clean race bonus, that goes up to about 825,000 credits. So this is a very quick way of earning money. The race takes about 15 minutes if you use my method. Or if you don't use my method, it takes about 20. Okay, so it's going to get you 4 races every hour, whereas most of the other methods out there only get you 3 races per hour. Okay, so anyway, going back into the car settings, I'll show you how I've done it. So the first thing first is go out and buy sports hard tyres for this Tomahawk. The reason why is because if you take, like some of the other guys out there, some of the other guys out there are suggesting racing hards. They're very difficult to drive on the opening few laps, and you can potentially lose a couple of minutes sliding around on the opening laps because this is a mixed wet and dry race. If you take the racing intermediates, you'll be okay for the first few laps, but then they'll burn out and you will start hemorrhaging lap time as the tyres have worn. And a lot of people out there are saying, well, just drive around that, just drive with the tyres worn, you'll still win. But you will go slower. And the secret to getting this race down to 15 minutes is to take sports hard tyres. You can also do this on the sports soft tyres, and I dare say you can do it on the sports mediums. I haven't investigated the mediums. The sports soft do wear out too quickly, so I've taken sports hard. And then copy these settings and be careful to copy them exactly, especially the national frequency of the suspension, because that makes quite a big difference to this car. And also be aware of the toe angle. The front is out and the rear is in. I haven't played around with the diff settings yet. That's on the to-do list. I think the diff settings are the key to unlocking a couple of seconds extra lap time, particularly with the hairpin. This car is very challenging to take through the hairpin, but for now, just take these settings. And then here's where the magic happens. So notice I haven't gone for the lowest amount of power I can. I'm running 89% on the top and 100% power restrictor on the bottom, and only 12 kilos of ballast. Now the way this works is very weird, because if I put 13 kilos of ballast on, my PP goes to an unknown number. If I put 14 on, it goes up to nearly 1,200, give or take. So there's a bit of a sweet spot at 12 kilos, and this is the lightest that I've been able to run. Now, I dare say that it's possible to run with 0 ballast by playing around with the suspension a little bit more, but this is as far as I've managed to get. And then the key to this glitch in the first place is your transmission settings, and the whole goal here is to completely confuse Gran Turismo into thinking your car's actually terrible. So you want the top speed to be on the 580 auto setting. And if you've never done this glitch before, I'm just going to show you here. These are the numbers you need, and these need to be exact. So pause the video here, make sure you've got all of these settings exactly right, down to the third decimal place. If you're low enough, you go down to 9.8 or something and you need to go to 9.6, then the trick is to go down and set it quite low, accept it, and then come back, and it'll let you go even lower than you originally went. And you do need to do these in order, so you I can't remember the order, whether you start with first gear and then do second and third, or whether you start with 7th gear and then go down. I can't remember, but persevere with it until you've got these settings. They need to be exactly like this, otherwise this won't work. Okay, and that is the gist of it. I'm now going to proceed to make a complete fool of myself by trying to race live and show you how to do the race. I'm probably not going to hit 15 minutes because 15 minutes really is a perfect run. And if you haven't done this glitch before, just be careful. You get penalties for hitting the barriers at 5 seconds a time. So those can be quite nasty. To get the clean race bonus, you can hit the barriers, and I believe you can also hit the other cars, but don't take it for granted, because I haven't really tested hitting the other cars too much. I try to avoid them. So just take extra care when you're lapping cars, and you will be lapping people here. Actually, before I start the race, there was 2 other things to show you, and that is how to drive this car quickly. If you go onto your controller settings, so this car has got an overtake mode, and what you want to do is map your overtake mode to somewhere where you can keep it pressed at all times when you're accelerating. I can't remember where it's mapped by default, but for me, the best place to put it is on R1, because if R2 is your accelerator, then automatically your second finger is directly over R1 at all times, and you can kind of use it. I like to pretend it's like the F duct in the old Formula 1 cars, that you hold it to go faster, and it kind of screws up the car's handling, but it gives you a big boost of overtake. So you'll see me using it throughout the race. I'll comment on when I'm using it, and you'll be able to see the impact that it has on your top speed. It's absolutely necessary to hit the target times that we're going to be aiming for, to be using that. And yeah, just to give you an idea here, these are the other mappings that I've got on here. So R1 was originally for change view. I've now put that on triangle. And again, I would recommend you putting change view on triangle, because you don't really use it very often in a race, and the R1 button's kind of a prime spot on your controller. If you're doing the Super Formula races or other races where you've got an overtake button, I really do recommend you put overtake on R1 if you're a controller user. So that's the first thing. And then the final thing before we go and do this race, very strangely, I recommend putting the difficulty on hard. The reason why is because you won't lap the opponents as often, because they are driving slightly quicker. If you put it on easy, what you'll find is that you're lapping the AI almost every lap, and you will lose so much time just trying to get past them without bouncing off them and hitting the barriers. So I recommend putting it on hard for this race. And here we go, without further ado. We're now going to go for a race. By the way, I have got the brake bias on -5. I'm just going to pause that so you can see there. I again recommend that. 2 reasons. One, it's going to help protect the rear wheels, so you won't have as much rear tyre degradation over the race. And the second thing is, this car just seems to be so much better when the brakes are really far forwards. The car doesn't really understeer under heavy braking when you have -5. So it just helps you get the car into the corners, especially on the opening lap. And the other thing is, you need the fuel map to be on 6. So once we go through here, I'm just going to restart, because there's a very specific way to get past these cars at the start as well. So what you want to do is come up the inside of this Lamborghini, up the inside of this red car, and then switch to the left like that. And now I'm holding the overtake button, which is R1, and you can see I'm gaining loads of speed. Be very, very careful on this opening lap. You want to take this first corner really, really cautiously, because the track is wet and this car isn't going to grip very well. And here again, I'm kind of fighting the car there. This first lap's the most difficult. The race gets a lot easier after that. And then we're flat out through here. Just gentle, down a gear and coast. And I'd recommend, don't try to be a hero when you're driving this car. Don't try to get an optimum lap time, because all it takes is one strike of the barrier and you're going to get a 5-second penalty. And over the race, it'll be very hard to make up those 5+ seconds. I mean, it's not just 5 seconds, but it's also 5 seconds of speeding up and slowing down. Now, you see what I mean about when I was saying this car doesn't really handle very well through the hairpin. I'm still trying to figure out a good differential setting for that. But yeah, the car just doesn't like the low speeds. And I'm just going to switch now. You can see this is without the overtake button. This is with the overtake button. And it just gives you a lot less drag, but also a lot less handling. So don't use it in the corners, but do use it down the straights. Other than that, I'm now just going to continue on with this race and show you the full race, just so that you can see kind of how it's going to go. I probably will make some mistakes because it's very hard to talk and drive at the same time. But really, the key to a good time on this is to have consistency and not to do like I've just done there. You know, I'm pushing real hard. I'm probably going to get a 10-second penalty for that, actually, because I hit the barrier twice. They gave me the second one right there. This will give you a good demonstration of just how painful the penalties are, actually. They really do hurt. So if you can have a whole race without any penalties, you're definitely going to be on for a 15-minute time in the total race. But otherwise, probably not. You want to keep the fuel map on 6, and a good lap time, by the way, is around 1 minute 15. That would be a good lap. Obviously, the first lap is going to be slower, and you know, taking penalties and overtaking other cars, you're going to have some fairly poor laps in between. But just try to have as much consistency as you can. You know, coming up to turn 1 and it's slightly drier, I'm going to try and take it in 5th gear. By the way, I do recommend learning manual gears as well. It's just a bit easier. So you see, I'm just taking it really cautiously when I'm overtaking these cars as well. And this is how easy it is to get into the back of one of them. Now I've got damage. The damage does self-heal over time. The car's going to handle a bit weird until it's healed itself. And you can see this is all about you know, consistency now, and not losing too much time when you're passing the CPU. I don't think you have to worry about hitting them like I just did. I've hit them loads of times and I've never lost the clean race bonus, so it's fairly lenient. I'm going to do one thing here, which is to put the car in 5th gear on the exit. It just gives you a slightly better exit. And don't worry about getting a 1:15 sort of lap time early on in the race, because the track is still wet. The lap time comes to you as the race goes on and as the track dries out. Whoa, nearly went onto the inside barrier there. See, this is why you're just going to be so careful with this car. If you get slightly more grip or slightly less grip than what you're expecting, you're going to find a barrier. You've got to have really quick reflexes. Just try and anticipate what the car's going to do. Try and get into a rhythm. Like this corner, for example, starts off being down a gear, but then as the race goes on, you gradually take it flatter. And now you hear the tyres screeching in that hairpin. Still haven't figured it out. This is going to be an alright lap. It's going to be, I think, in the 16s maybe. This is why this tune's better than a lot of the others. In fact, there we go, we're going in the 15s. Because we are running this car at full power, we can reach 350 miles an hour. A lot of the other tunes I've seen have the power down at like half power almost. And yeah, you're just not going to get the top speed and the acceleration. So this is definitely the fastest way to do this race. Whoa, unexpected Viper. That's why it's called a Dodge. See, still cracking jokes. Even at 200 miles an hour, I'm still making bad jokes. This is more luck at this stage than judgment. The AI is moronic, I will point that out. Oh my god, you see what I mean? The AI just changes line for no reason, and it's going to got me a penalty for hitting the barrier because I bounced off the AI and into the barrier. And yeah, that's what you have to put up with in this race. The 5-second penalties aren't too bad because you spend a bit of that 5 seconds slowing down for the penalty, whereas the 10-second ones, you know, you slow down and then you maintain that speed. But you see there, that's cost us 10 seconds, and if you do that 12 times, then that's cost you, you know, 120 seconds, just 2 minutes. So, you know, my mindset on this is, you know, full speedrunner mindset of how many seconds can I shave off over the whole race. I'm not really going for fastest lap. I'm just going for how few errors can I make. And 15 minutes is not too hard to do for this race. You just have to avoid any errors. I'd say that I'm definitely not on for 15 minutes here, but should maybe have just chilled out a little bit on some of those first few laps. But once you're in the rhythm, you know, it's not so bad. Don't brake too late for that corner, by the way. Don't wait for the brake indicator to come on, because that is always going to be too late. At this stage, the track's really getting dry now. By the way, I have got the racing line on here. I also recommend having that on just because it helps you sort of know where the dry line is. It's quite hard at these speeds to see the dry line, but it's very important that you keep on the dry line. There's a lot more grip. My advice for lapping cars, by the way, is just try to anticipate where they're going to be and have a plan. Pick a side of the track early on, so already know what line you're taking, because if you have to change lines mid-corner, that's when you hit the barrier. This car is very difficult for changing lines mid-corner because of how twitchy it is, you know, how easy it is to just go the wrong way. Oh, that was commitment. And that's the annoying bit when you get cars side by side like that. But I'm planning to go up his inside, and I have done. And in all of that, we did a 113 there as well. The really difficult ones are when you get cars in that particular corner. The second half of the lap is not so bad to get past other cars, but the middle of the lap, that's where the track's the tightest. Whoa, 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 whoa. That was a bit of luck. One other thing just to note, by the final lap you may have run out of overtake. It's linked to the amount of battery the car has on the hybrid system. Oh, careful, careful, careful. Yeah, if you see the little battery indicator next to the rev counter, that is how much overtake you've got, as well as how much hybrid power you've got. So on the final lap you may find yourself running out. It is possible. Depends how much you've used it throughout the race. It's very easy to hit the inside of those corners, just take it easy. Now I'm hoping to get through as many cars as I can down this straight. I think I might be able to get some of the cars ahead before the first corner. Got two of them. I didn't realise there was an extra car there. I murdered him. He's absolutely dead. Hopefully I should. Fingers crossed. Ah! Car changing line. Car changing. Get off the line! Get off the line! Blue flags. Ah! Raging on. Ah! And now because I've got damage, the car just didn't want to turn. Ah! This is a lap to forget. So that's what not to do. But yeah, it's really difficult if you get cars in that middle sector, because that's where the track is narrowest, and the CPU does not obey blue flags. It really doesn't. Thankfully, it only gave us a 5-second penalty. And I was going to say, hopefully I should still get the clean race bonus. I'm hoping. As I said, I've never lost it. Yes, that whole debacle cost us 21 seconds. Thank you, Mr. Hizal. I absolutely murdered him, though, so it was worth it. And now we've got the bonus of a completely empty lap, a traffic-free lap. So this will be a push lap for me. By now the track's nice and dry. And on that boost button straight away. We are going to run out of boost, I think, on the final lap. Which is the next lap. We are there already. We are coming up to 15 minutes. This is going to be more like 16 minutes then.
Ah! Surprise! Gonna take the outside line. Not a bad final lap. Bit of a handbrake turn just for fun. 10 out of 10 for that handbrake turn there. It was like almost like it was deliberate. And across the line we go now, and there we go. So that is what the race looks like, and you just have to keep doing that time and time again. The SpongeBob SquarePants themed car, by the way, is completely optional, but it is obviously worth lap time looking like SpongeBob. 16 minutes 14 seconds, and you can imagine there, if I hadn't have had those, I think, 3 penalties, then I would have been comfortably inside 15 minutes. So there you go, and there's the clean race bonus, even though I murdered several people. I'm going to leave you with that, guys. Happy grinding. Hope you get all of the cars that you want, and I'll be back if I've got any more advice or modifications on this strategy going forwards. So have a good night, and watch all of my videos, like, subscribe, just let YouTube know that I'm an absolute legend, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.